You're live.
Perfect timing. I think I broke it. Sorry, guys. I really do. It's really loose now. Okay. Anyway, we're call the meeting of the admin committee to order on Monday, March 24th, 2025. Madam Clerk, do you roll call?
Chairman Cleve,
Here.
Alderman Kelly,
Here.
Alderman Madrigal,
Here.
Public Works Commissioner Bergman.
Here. Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion.
Need a second?
Second.
Okay. With a motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Ayes.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carries. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from our October 28th, 2024 meeting?
Motion.
I'll second that if I can. I think I can.
Yeah.
With a motion and a second, any discussion? Okay. All in favor of approving the meeting minutes from October 28th, 2024, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is public participation. There is absolutely no one in the room that's not behind the dais. So there is no public participation today. Under new business, first item we have is review the articles of agreement between International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 141, AFL-CIO. And that was in our packet. And Alderman Kelly, I think you made the motion to send it down to committee. I was also in favor of that as well, but is there anything specific that you wanted to talk about with it? I have things as well.
Yeah.
Not trying to put you on the spot.
Oh, no, I'm fine. I'm fine with it. I do what I do. Back it. I was just really surprised to see this come forward without coming to us because we just agreed to an amendment to a contract with them. So I don't know why or how this came about. I do know there was some talk about certain salary scales not being up to par with other companies in our area, and I believe that was for some of the newer hires that we had that we were concerned about losing. So when that never came through, I took it we were waiting till June's budget to discuss anything, and then I was surprised to see this had been all the way through a resolution for approval without even being brought to us because we just agreed on one. So what major changes are happening and why would we want to change this after we just agreed to this for a 3-year or 2-year term? Whoever wants to answer those questions, I'd be glad to listen.
Would you like to repeat that,
Everything?
Mr. Brueggemann?
Yeah, so, like I mentioned at the board meeting, in the previous agreement, the contract, it stipulated that the city and the union would work together to, come up with a pay matrix. That's been in there for a few years. It started with Administrator Roth, never got completed. Then when Harold Selby was here as interim, he asked me to come up with one again. I made one October 2023. Nothing happened then. So I revised it and brought it to the union members and then ultimately to the mayor to have the board approve it. So what it does is just classified different departments and over pretty well a 3 to 5 year span of what they expect to make if they meet these certain qualifications and certain steps, as far as the probationary period and then getting their CDL license, on the water side, if they get a water license, things in that nature. So it's just a little bit more entailed. We used to have in our agreement, we used to have a utility man 1, 2, and 3. That was taken out with the anticipation of a matrix replacing it. And so that's what I'm trying to get done now. We have 2 open positions in the street department, and we're just not going to get people to come in for $19 an hour and expect them to get a Class B, Class A CDL and stick around for what we're trying to pay. At least this way, if we bring somebody in, we can show them, okay, here's your matrix. Once you meet these qualifications, this is where you're going to be at in year 1, year 2, year 3, and at least a minimal, and really, like I said, only impacts for the most part in water and sewer, just the lower guys to bring them up a little bit to, for if they meet these steps. And then, like I said, it's to help retain the ones we have and then help bring in new hires, and we can explain to them what they expect, they can expect to make. And even with these, it's still kind of low and gonna be tough, but at the same time, at least we have something to start with.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other-
Alderman Kelly,
Is that
anything else to?
an answer to that,
Yeah.
or is it? When talking to Mr. Alderman McLeave the other day, I wasn't aware of it. You guys didn't have this information, so I apologize. I guess I could have sent it out, but I thought you guys had seen, what would it be. So I guess if this does get passed, then I guess the next step, and Kim would have to answer this, I guess I'd just have to have a budget amendment afterwards for the people that do qualify for a raise now.
So, Alderman Kelly, do you have anything else you want to say right now? I mean, I'm happy to talk some too if you want.
It doesn't matter if I can keep going or you can speak up.
No? Go ahead.
A couple things. I'm definitely not against a union. I came from a union background. I firmly believe in them. I walked a picket line for 20 months to support a union. I just don't believe that you can reach an agreement and then 3 months later try to change it. It shouldn't be fair for you to ask or for us to ever ask. Definitely not the employer to ever ask to change a contract. To me, it's binding. I was hoping you were looking at what we had discussed about losing some of the, I don't want to say younger but less paid that's been here some time. I was hoping to see that brought to us an amendment scale increase or change, not the whole contract the way it was presented. So it did catch me off guard.
Well, no,
and-
yeah. Okay.
and I did think that it just definitely caught me off guard because I'm not one to violate or break a contract. And either side should be doing that when you've already agreed. I was hoping to see it differently, and it was not, but now I understand you didn't know to bring it to us.
Well-
But please, moving forward, bring stuff to the Board of Aldermen before, I mean, there's time and money put into this already that may
Well,
not,
Like I said, in our previous contract, it did state that the union and the city would continue to work together to come up with this matrix.
but it didn't say in 3 months.
Well, it didn't say it didn't have a date at all.
Yeah, but.
But at the same time, technically, we've still in our wage opener, I mean, we have a wage opener once a year as well, which this doesn't even really cover that.
And then as a member of a union, I look at this and there's only 6 people possibly, if that many now, that will benefit from this. And I don't see it fair to your whole staff when only certain ones could benefit at this moment from this change.
Well, because the other people that's in the staff currently are already making more than what these matrices are. So this is literally just bringing up, especially in the water and sewer, it's bringing up the lower guys. And
But
then
what
build-
about the comment you made about trying to keep the ones we didn't want to lose? So that's where I'm like
what this is-
focused at.
That's what this is doing.
This
I mean,
does not justify the lower paid ones that we're going to lose if we don't work something out in a different format or manner, in my opinion. Let me state that, so.
Well, I mean, that's with the exception of the one guy in the parks, that's what this is doing, is it's bringing up the lower paid guys to that matrix step. So it is bringing up the lower guys, with one exception.
The lower guys, as new hires, not anybody on staff now when I check their salary scale. It doesn't show that.
I guess I'm
Nice job.
confused on the question.
It shows.
Oh, it wasn't me. It was
Oh,
Robert did that.
Bob,
I forwarded.
okay, nice job.
Yeah, so did you,
It
Casey
actually
forwarded,
shows.
yeah, did you forward Alderman Kelly
I did.
of who?
I did, but I don't think she can get her email right now.
I can't.
I did
You
send
have
it
to
to
put
the
it on
other
us.
address
Okay.
too, but
I printed off what you sent me, but it wasn't on that, it was the other stuff.
I sent
You
that
didn't-
today. I
Okay,
didn't get it
yeah.
until today,
If
so.
you didn't tell me, I didn't know to go.
Oh,
through
yeah,
it.
no, I didn't, sorry.
Yeah, it's a,
I mean, we could go
Eh.
through them, but I don't know if it's proper to,
Let me
like,
just
say
see.
people's
Look at-
names and.
No, I
Yeah,
know, that's,
I just
I was trying
glanced at
not to do that.
Yeah, that's
But
what
I
wanna bring it
I
up.
do think, so one thing I heard Alderman Kelly say that I wasn't aware of, are there people that are covered by the union agreement that are not in the matrix?
The only person would be myself and the mechanic.
Okay, and are you, as the boss, are you covered by union agreement? Are you
I'm-
a member of the
I'm
union?
Still
there?
in the union, yeah.
Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah. But I
Management.
don't really
Kinda
get,
wasn't.
I mean, I really don't get any of the benefits with, being salary. I don't get, I still get like the boot allowance and
Right.
eyeglass allowance, stuff like that, but I don't get the call-in pay and pretty much the majority of the rest of the stuff's in there. My union dues pretty well cover my boot allowance every year and the safety glass
Yeah.
allowance.
So why wouldn't the mechanic be in here? Is there a reason?
Well, yeah, I mean, the mechanic's making more than any of these anyway. So, anybody that's even on this, he makes more than that. And the mechanic, that's gonna be pretty much a case-by-case basis. If we hired somebody, it's really gonna be based on experience. So, I mean, you could probably make one, but at the same time, it's really gonna be experience-based, on something.
I understand that,
Kinda
and-
like, with me, it's like, well, if you replace me, you could possibly hire within, or you're gonna have to find somebody. And that's gonna be experience-based and pay-based as well.
One of my comments on the matrix looking through it is, I understand what we're trying to do here, and I actually want a matrix. I like the matrix idea like that. The one thing I will say is, using parks, and park superintendent, I think the minimum should be lower. I don't think we should be looking at current park superintendent and raising because of the matrix. If that person deserves more money, we should give that person more money. I don't think we should have the minimum where our current experienced park superintendent is, I guess is where.
Yeah,
And if
that's-
we do believe that the 30 an hour is what a park superintendent should be, our park superintendent should be above that minimum, in my opinion.
Okay.
Because,
Yeah, I mean, that one that minimal hour rate, was not set. I set all these with the exception of that one. That was requested by the mayor. That's the price that she wanted.
okay,
And that's why I put quite a bit of detail on the park superintendent, with the
Mhm.
experience, and I put quite a bit of detailed information on that one. So, I mean, that's, like I said, ultimately, I guess,
well, I understand, I mean, like I said, I'm not,
yeah. The rest of these, I
there
guess.
are people that question it, but I'm not questioning our park superintendents being raised to a certain level. But I do question that being the minimum. It's like if we had a minimum for your job. You've been here this long. Hopefully, we're not saying you're the minimum salary.
Yeah.
If we are, there's a problem.
I understand.
So I think we should look at setting park superintendent at a lower rate if we believe 30 an hour is where our park superintendent should be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I completely understand.
And I understand also that it may be a way someone's trying to get someone a raise. I get that too, but I wouldn't want to do that, because if we bring in another park superintendent or we promote someone and they don't have the
You're
experience,
handcuffed to,
yeah, we're kind of, I mean, these should be minimums, not what we're willing to pay in a sense, because that's
Yeah.
what we're saying is
And
the
that's why
minimum rate is this.
yeah, and that's why I put minimal on most of these, or on all these, because, that way we could bring the other guys that are lower up, and then also it doesn't say, okay, well, the guy that's making more than the minimal, that's what they have to make, that's the minimal. That way, when they go through these steps, then they know, yeah, I'm gonna be at least making this per hour. And like I said, it's not only helping bring the current lower guys up, it also helps when I'm trying to interview somebody or talk to somebody that's putting on their application, they want $22 an hour, because, even at that, it's hard to get people with a CDL when you can go anywhere and make at least that driving a truck, and that only. Because I've got applications down there now that's requesting anywhere from $20 to $30 an hour, and at least this way I can go to them and say, okay, hey, I know you want, $22 an hour, but, we can bring you in at this point, but at least, within the first couple of years, you can kind of achieve that. Where now it's just, you start off at 19 or 19.50 and you're waiting for the yearly raise, or if you get a water license or something like that. So that's the whole idea of the matrix,
So what do you, like the two open positions we have in the street department? what are other cities nearby paying for that, and where do we need to be to get qualified people?
Yeah, I mean, street, I'd have to look a little bit more. I know, if you're requesting a CDL, because not all the cities around us require CDLs. But I mean, if, if you're wanting a CDL, you're gonna have to pay at least $20 an hour. I mean, even with our benefit stuff, but, you can go pretty much anywhere and make at least $22 with a CDL if, usually more than that. I know, Alliance Water District, I talked to him, I think they started off, was it 20 or 21? And they don't, like I said, I don't think they require CDLs either. So, I mean,
Well, we have a bump for CDL, so,
no, we don't. Well, this does.
okay, well, that's what I mean.
Currently, we don't. No.
So look at it, I mean, so the two open positions, are we hiring them as apprentice?
Well,
Unless they're more
yes, I mean,
qualified,
they
then we
would-
may
they would-
hire them.
yeah, if you're, like, for instance, we're hiring a high school kid for the water department June 1st, whenever he gets out of school. We'll start off as an apprentice.
Okay.
As soon as he gets his qualifications, and he can go, go up.
Right.
And the same, pretty much everything. But the good thing about this is if we do get somebody that's already got a CDL, worked somewhere else and has some construction experience, or meets these other requirements, we can bring them in as a 2 or a 3 if we needed to. So we can try to draw somebody that's working somewhere else or doing something, we can actually, say, okay, you meet these requirements, we can bring you in at this level because you meet these qualifications to be a 2 or a 3 or a 1 or, but so it just depends on the applicant, But I'd prefer, like I said, if we can get somebody with more experience, it's nice, so. Because like I said, even the one we're getting from high school, he's gonna be green. I mean,
Okay. Other questions from anybody else? Do you have anything?
No, I just want to recommend we move forward with it, a recommendation to the entire board.
Okay.
And I disagree.
I am, I am definitely, I thought this should be more of an appendix versus a new agreement, because we did have an agreement for sure. That, in my opinion, I mean, it was going to hold us to something, so it should have also held water the other way. So I wish we would have gotten it done. I think we, I'm not in favor of a new agreement, for sure. I am in favor of having salaries where we can get people. I mean, no doubt at all. I am for the matrix as well. I'm just trying to think of the timing of it. I think it's, I think we need to look more at where we are financially before we look at putting a matrix in place. Because I'm still not confident where we are, even with our financial report we had and stuff that in the last Alderman meeting.
that was something else that was brought up to my attention as well, is if you remember when they did the January raises, the 2.5%, it was somewhat of a consensus up here that they wanted to do more, and then it was brought up by different aldermen that, well, let's wait until February to see where financials are, and February came and went, and that never went anywhere as well, so. So it's
And
always.
you and I talked about that as well.
It's always
So,
kicking
yeah.
the can down the road, okay, well, we did this, we'll look at it again in a month, well, then a month comes, well, now we might as well wait till July, 'cause that's usually how it
Well,
goes.
If you want to push us to do stuff, then you're going to force a layoff on your department. So you might as well let us go slow and focus on the budget properly. That's our goal. It's never not to give more money or to keep our employees. It is, we have to focus on the overhaul of the city, not just one department. Unfortunately, we can't just, and then when I look at this,
Just going off of
it's
what
so
was stated
if somebody
at the
can
meeting.
call the mayor and ask for a raise, can somebody call me and ask for a raise, and I should submit that name and their amount they want? I mean, I'm not understanding this, and one person got a penny raise. I'm not in favor of something like this being presented, so that's just my opinion. I would gladly see something worked out and put in place, and hopefully we can do our raises in June as we should, or always wanted to go back to, was raises in June, but we still have to face a budget.
I'm just going off of what was stated at the board meeting.
Okay. And I understood.
I remember
that
the
we were gonna-
conversation.
I understood we were going to take care of those people so we didn't lose them, and I didn't see them being saved in this. I still would like to try to save those younger, less paid so we don't lose them, but that's another way of trying to figure out how we do that.
Well, with this, like I said, when guys work their way up through the system, it can bring them up.
But you're saying work their way up through the system, but time served, pulling all the extra overtime and hours where you need it doesn't qualify them if they're not able to go get these different types of certificates while they're busy just working daily routines for us. So I don't want them,
Well, this gives them more
Overlooked.
incentive to want to get it, because right now,
yeah, see, that's just it. You're
Or-
not just giving them a reward for being a good employee or pull. I'm just concerned about all of the shorthandedness and what's going to happen to the ones that are being good, faithful employees now when they have to do, they're already doing lots of overtime and hours and duties, so I don't want to lose the ones we currently have while we're trying to work out these
I can
steps.
say everybody's for this. That's why it's been ratified by the union and brought to you. So it's not like somebody's down there saying, well, I don't want this. Everybody's in agreeance with this.
Okay,
But I've talked to, that everybody's talked to. I mean, you might have a different story, but
and my other concern was that park superintendent, which I pointed out tonight, he can be a park department lead, he can be a department lead, he can be a park lead, he can be a park lead person. There is no superintendent. We cleared that up when Roth was here. There was no ordinance to back that up.
I think there actually
And,
is.
no, we checked it. Mr.
I say
Jones
Alderman
verified it.
Lesh- I say Alderman Lesh brought it to my attention the other day, but there is one in
There
there.
is no, or there is none. It was a made-up name, and I don't like it being used personally. And while we're talking to that, I'll mention the budget. We need to look at removing park people from the budget, from the park tax. It's eating our tax up with 3 employees. When we go to budget, we need to move those guys somewhere back along in the system, so we don't eat up all of our park tax just on 3 people's salary, in my opinion. So that's another subject we'll get to.
Well, hitting that very specific topic, that's where I think we need to change that proposition money to go more to parks than what it is now. Because I do think to really run things successfully, you've got to put the costs where they belong. And if they are working parks, their costs should be allocated to parks. We just need to, we can change that ordinance that has what percentage from that proposition. It was passed trying to be a parks proposition with some stormwater or sewer, I think it was
Yeah, it's-
stormwater and parks. And
Well, if you,
It was-
just on the stormwater side, if we
Yeah.
do that, then that takes away from stormwater projects as well.
I understand. No, I'm just saying, we need to make sure we keep all the costs where they belong. And when I say where they belong, if it's
Well-
a parks cost, we need to do it. And if we decide that we don't want to keep our parks up as well, and we need to take people from them, then we should take people from the parks. But we shouldn't have them charged to streets working in the parks, is all I'm saying.
In the past, we had one person taking care of parks, and Robert was supervising them. The parks were in better shape than I've ever I've seen them in the past 3-5 years. So, I mean, it can be done. It has been done. He used those people for other jobs, other areas as well, and the grass cut, his street people go cut grass at the parks, whatever was needed. I'm just saying we need to be cautious on all of our dollars being spent for just salaries only. I don't believe that's what that tax was passed for, in my opinion.
And so it's a different subject. I'm just saying the cost needs to go to where the people are working. If we have too many people working, that's a totally different story. I'm just saying, if someone's working in parks, that cost should go to parks, in my opinion.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know how we would change it, if anybody else wants to change it. I don't want the minimum for a park superintendent to be $30. If we're wanting the park superintendent or whatever position it is, and will be called going forward, whatever it is, I haven't looked at that ordinance, so I don't know what it is, but I think that should be lower. If we want our current person in that position to be raised, then we should put in for a raise and not necessarily hold us to that with a new person that moves in that position. What was it before? Was it 28 like the others that are, I mean, looks like all the other high-level ones and all the other
It's 28.
are 28, so.
That's originally what I put in.
Yeah, I would recommend it stay or go back to 28 or whether it was or wasn't. Wasn't trying to put you on the spot there, but I think it should be lower than 30, and I'm not opposed to making that person in that position now $30 an hour. So, but in all honesty, one of the things I think we've got to get away from is it should be up to, well, in this case, you, of what that person should be making, not us here. It should come to the board as, you know, hey, this is what we recommend people are making, and then we either approve it or we disapprove it. I don't think we should be telling staff what someone should be making. I think having a matrix and saying what each level should be a minimum, yes, to me. Because, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't know a lot of the people on this list. Maybe I'm a bad alderman for that, I don't know. But I don't know what they do on a daily basis. I don't know how skilled they are or aren't. We should be relying on our staff and management to tell us where they should be.
I'm the one that made this, that's why I'm.
No, I know. No, I'm
That's what I'm trying to
speaking in general terms now, not specifically about this. I rely on staff to tell us where people should be based on the experience and based on working with them. And if we have someone not pulling their weight and not doing their job, well, I'm sure hoping that we're not wanting to give them raises. And I don't mean by the matrix, I mean just in general. I'm trying to think of what to do here.
The other issue would be, if I may,
Absolutely.
the other issue would be is if we would offer like across the board 2.5, would they get that if they're already making more or less? I mean, would that affect this? Would they get both?
My opinion is yes, because this would be minimums for their position. And so if they're, well, that depends on how it's worded.
Yeah.
I looked through this, and I don't know if anybody knows if it's in there or not. I don't see anything about raises in the future. I see the matrix and the minimums, but I don't see,
Yeah, I think that'd fall under the wage opener every year through the other part of the contract.
the wage opener and what?
The yearly wage opener
Mm-hmm.
negotiations, I think that would
Across the
be,
board.
yeah, I think that would be something we look at, you know, yearly with the wage opener.
Right, but it's not a part of
this. Adjusted, yeah.
Right, but this is just setting up a matrix of starting salary in those positions,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and these, like I said, and.
That's how I read
that
it
would-
anyway.
And that would have to probably be looked at during the wage opener with the union wage opener. It would probably, need, you know, these minimals probably need to be looked at yearly, you know, with that wage opener.
Yearly, but we have a 3-year contract with you, so we're gonna keep redoing this.
But there's still a provision for a yearly wage opener in the
See?
contract. The contract doesn't, yeah, the main body of the contract's every 3 years, but there's still a wage opener yearly.
And you see that in this agreement here. Where do you know exactly where that is? Because I looked and I didn't see that in here.
For a wage opener yearly wage opener?
Yes, I didn't, but that doesn't mean anything, because that's, yeah, I mean, my opinion, as we raise, if we do cost of living raises, whatever you want to call the percentage raises, it should impact the minimums as well. I mean, if your minimums always stay where they are and they never get any higher, you're
Yeah.
going to fall into this every year trying to hire someone. But I didn't see it in here where there was. And it's okay. We don't have to, I mean, if you can find it quickly, fine. But this still has to go before the board, so we can get it hashed out
And
over
then
the next week. And
on the back of this letter, it says 2 people have already been promoted and increases have been given. Is that correct?
Just one.
Or just one? That's what it says.
The one that filled the street supervisor position. You're looking through old email stuff.
Yeah, because we weren't included, so I didn't know that it says, I wanted to verify if they had or hadn't been.
The
So-
one that was promoted by the mayor has been changed. That's the only one that's been changed.
There was promotion in-house by the mayor?
Yep, for the vacant street supervisor position.
Okay,
I sent a recommendation letter and then she approved it.
okay. And it didn't come to the board?
It doesn't have to come to the board. It goes,
Okay.
technically city administrator, which I guess the mayor is the acting city administrator.
And then there's also a clause that says Board of Aldermen will approve any and all hires and promotions, so.
As far as I
Depends on
remember,
which one.
that got changed back when Steve Roth was here because we don't come to the board for hiring and firing anymore.
And you do now, because Attorney Jones verified that that was incorrect when the last police officer was hired, and I showed him the ordinance.
That must have been pretty recent then.
Yeah,
'cause
it was
that's
just-
news to me.
Yeah.
So let's
Stay
handle that as a
focused.
separate item. I'm happy
Sorry.
to pursue that.
I'm just glad
and
that you
see.
said that, because I'm like, well, one more thing we don't know. Thank you.
Okay, so back on the union agreement. Mine, like I said, park superintendent, I'd like to see that lower than what it is. I'll take the time and talk to Attorney Jones or whatever I need to do over the next week to find out about the raises going forward. I think if we decide on a matrix and someone is below the minimum, then absolutely they should be brought up to minimum. It's more of a wage adjustment versus a raise. If we agree and decide that these are what the minimum should be, then yeah, if we have someone in these positions, they definitely should be making that minimum. And I'm still in the same position where Mr. Bergman, where we were, honestly, in I don't want to say the matrix is fine without knowing that we have the money to pay for them. I would be, like I said, if there are specific individuals that we feel are not being paid what they should be, I'm all for taking recommendations on that and doing what we need to do outside of the matrix, and then having the matrix as part of our budgeting process.
And I think this matrix I've brought before you does that with the current people we have.
I was just reading that.
I understand, and I would be fine taking those individuals that are listed in this email as a separate thing and saying, these people should be raised to this amount. And if it's if we find that the mayor can do it, so be it. If it's something that has to come to the board, so be it. I just think to really have this matrix in place, we should do it as as part of the budgeting process. Just to, and I believe also, and you were saying it, Alderman Kelly, I believe that I don't like the raises being in December, January, whatever. I'm not sure if there's a financial reason we do it, a legal reason we do it, so be it. To me, that should be part of the budgeting process. And, I mean, it is part of the budgeting process, actually, but I think if we approve the budget at a certain percentage of raises, then they should go into effect when we approve it. I don't know why it has to wait until January.
Okay.
But-
Let me answer your question from a minute ago about the wage opener.
Absolutely.
It's on page 9, on the very top, Article 11, under wages. Says, employees in the city shall receive compensation for their services as established by ordinance each year. Wages shall be open to negotiation between the parties on an annual basis beginning in September of each year, or otherwise be mutual agreed upon the city and union. So that's your wage opener language I was talking about.
Okay, now that page number doesn't match with what I've got, so which
Oh.
article was it?
It's Article 11.
Oh, it is.
Under
Article 11,
wages.
Okay.
It's on mine, it's on the very top of page 9. I don't know, maybe yours is different.
Oh, it is, top page 9, sorry. Yep.
So that's why this is kind of falling under that wage opener that we're in right now currently. I mean, yeah, it could have just been an amendment, but I guess the union just figured it was a cleaner version just to tack it into the existing, because the rest of the contract is exactly the same as what you guys approved a couple months ago.
Yeah, it is. I went through it
It's just a matter
and
of,
checked.
it's just a matter of adding this to
I know,
that wage opener.
that's why I think honestly it should be an appendix to an existing agreement. I mean,
Yeah.
it's,
Which, it's only been a couple months, I don't know. But
okay.
And what is, Chairperson, may I speak? What is the water sewer 3% increase? Is that something that's agreed upon in the contract?
That's in the current contract. So if somebody gets a water or sewer license currently, they get a 3% raise. And that was asked, I think, by Alderman Cleve as well, as, would they still get that? And I say yes, because you would, so if they don't qualify for that next pay matrix raise, they can still at least get that 3% for getting the license they got right then. And then whenever they qualify for that next step, then it,
They could get 3% plus the next step.
yeah, well, they'd have to have the license to go to that next step. So I mean, it kind of evens it out, because typically right now it's 45 to 50 cent, raise. So if they got that then, and then if they had another 6 months before they qualify, well, then they would step up to the next classification. So it kind of gives them more incentive to go ahead and get that water and sewer license versus just the 3% now.
When did the 3% go into effect?
That's been in our contract since I can remember.
So that went in, the 3% for water and sewer department only, plus the 2.5.
The 2.5 is just
Across the
was just the
But I'm
yearly
asking you
rate.
about the 3 went in also.
The 3%'s been in there for 20-something years,
Okay.
that I can remember. Yeah.
It's the same thing for like when they get CDL or
Okay.
something, right?
No,
Or
right now,
that's-
there's nothing for CDL this matrix kind of helps with that as well.
Okay,
There's no CDL
There's-
raise right now.
okay. Didn't the previous agreement address that, the one we did in December?
I don't know.
That's what I said, because I thought we met it by.
I really think it did. Maybe
That's
I'm,
the police department's contract. There's so many contracts.
yeah, there's so much.
Yeah, so I'm
Trying to
not
keep it
a-
all straight.
Might have
Yeah.
been the police.
I could
Does-
swear there's something in that agreement we passed in December, but that's
No,
fine.
No, I'm
I
pretty familiar
believe
with the
you, you
contract.
live it more than I do.
Yeah.
So, I believe you.
Yeah.
Okay,
If you're done with that, can I have that back?
And, I wrote all over it.
Oh,
I didn't know I couldn't keep it, sorry.
okay. Well, you can have, I can print it. on.
Sorry.
I just print it for reference in
And
case
it-
the questions are brought up, so.
Yeah, thank you. It helped. The other concern is we are under contract with a different department, so if we go to making changes midstream, are they going to request a change as well? So just think we should use caution. Caution on the whole contract versus what we thought there was just going to be steps for certain employees. So. And then, do they do any type of reviews? Do you do any type of evaluations? That's another question the board was big on, but we never seem to get that answered.
Not currently.
Not currently, no reviews, they just give them raises automatically. Thank you. Okay,
But this kind of helps with that, kind of puts it in paper of what they're expected to have to go up to that next step. I mean, if you're going to go back to a raise by just going off of the review, then that kind of puts us back to why the Public Works went union in the first place, because we're having people that were buddies with somebody and they got a bigger raise than the next guy and they're doing the exact same thing. I mean, I wouldn't do that, but it happened previously. There was certain
I was
things
just,
like that would happen. I mean, it happened to me. I mean, I had a guy that started almost the same time as me, and he got a better raise than I did, and we did the exact same thing every day.
and sometimes I ask these questions just for clarification on the record, so people know why or what's going on, so thank you. It's not to.
I think if you did that, it would need to be more of say, cost of living's 2.5%, but then if we did a review, then it would need to be above that. So if like somebody was going above and beyond, or if somebody's trying to get more qualified or certain, for a certain reason, or then I would say, you'd still have your minimal of whatever the cost of living raise for that year, that year, but then it would be maybe a little higher if there was. But I'm trying to avoid that with this, because then this gives you your direct steps of, hey, you've got to meet these criteria to go up to that next level.
Yep.
Without being biased. Somebody personally.
Alderman Madrigal, you got anything, anything else? I already heard what you said. I just want to, if there's anything from any of the discussion that you had.
No,
Okay.
Thank you.
Alderman Kelly, you have anything else? I think I know your opinion. I think I know Alderman Kelly's opinion. I think all three of us are in a little different place. I am, like I said, my issue isn't the amounts here at all. It's, I just, to be able to do it properly, I believe that we need to understand the impact against the budget. And we can do that now, we can. And maybe that's where we go as a board. We break it out and say, this is exactly what it's going to change. This is how much of a budget impact there's going to be, and we vote on it that way. But I'd much rather it go into effect when we make our new budget and we budget it that way than I would right now. But I want the matrix, 100%. I believe in that. I think it's the right way to go for a multitude of reasons.
I mean, I would know the reason I'm pushing this now is because I got 2 open positions that need to be filled. We got springtime, summertime coming up, so I'm really waiting for this to start making calls to people to try to interview if they're even interested anymore, because I'm not going to get people in here for $19 an hour. It's just not going to happen. I mean,
So let's decide as a board or as staff, whatever we need to do there, to pay them $20 an apprentice, 21 or whatever street department, sorry. 21 as an apprentice, 22 as a labor one. I mean, that's an easier conversation than passing a whole different agreement with a matrix built into it. I agree with you. I think we need to pay competitive rates to get people here. But we're talking about changing everything, not just to get them in. And again, I'm not opposed to everything.
But at the same time, if you bring somebody in, the guys that's already been here for a few years, you need to bring them up to that matrix level. If not, you're going to be having people come in higher. If you don't bring the other guys that's already here to keep them, if you're bringing somebody in that's.
When I look at the street department, the only thing I see is one person that would be impacted by the matrix, unless I'm missing something.
2. 2 guys would be affected by the matrix. The
So
2 lower guys, Gordon and Josh.
No, say names.
you're talking about, I'm looking just at streets. You're talking about water or what?
That is streets.
Street labor apprenticeship would go up 50 cents, and then
Right.
street labor number 3 would go up 32 cents. Did I do my math right? Yeah.
Yeah, so one guy would
Okay,
go-
so maybe the line is wrong that I'm seeing then, because it says this
she's
person
told-
currently
she's-
making X, no
I have
change
it.
in pay.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, she's got
Yeah,
my,
sorry. I
No,
got
that's
a
fine.
sheet.
I'm saying, so 1, 2,
We're not
3,
sharing-
4.
I'm
The
not sharing
fourth
very
bullet
well.
is showing no change in pay.
No, everybody had a change in pay.
oh, that's right, because the one I was looking at before was
Yeah.
before that 2.5% raise. So, yes. So it would be.
So anyway,
just,
so
one
with
current-
that, I
one
mean-
Current guy, yes.
So if we have an apprentice that's not being paid what we bring a new person in, then we should absolutely bring that apprentice up to where they should be.
Apprentice, a new person, that is title.
Yeah.
So from this committee, I mean, we can't make these decisions in this committee, obviously, there's 3 of us. So it's going to have to go to the board. So what I'll look at the budget impact of it and be prepared at our next Board of Aldermen meeting to discuss it. It shouldn't take long to plug numbers in and see what the impact's going to be. I think what the challenge will be, and I'll challenge our city clerk and our financial person to give us a very clear picture of where we are, at least through the end of February, which we were end of January, I guess, in the most recent reports, right, Ms. Barfield? So, I mean, and then we'll have a picture and we'll know whether the city can afford to do it or not. But I just want to get this email that I've got here. That's really what I wanted our committee to make sure we had so that we could get to the board with this. And,
Yeah, like I said, for instance, like the water and sewer would be approximately about $6,300 a year for just salaries. I don't have all the info for,
Retirement.
like, you know,
and
everything else.
I've got all that stuff by
Okay,
percentage.
yeah,
anyway.
and you said you were
Which
gonna
I
look at
didn't
that.
send to you. I need to send you that sheet.
Yeah, and you forgot to send me that. Or you did, I didn't get it, but I got your other, that email's weird today, or why your email's not coming to me.
Well,
correctly.
Alderman email, you get my
Yeah,
Alderman
you
email.
get that one, and I got your other one, so
Right.
I don't know. And then the street, since we had two top guys retire, the impact is less than $500 a year as far as salary. Parks, if we don't, if you leave at $28 an hour, then we're pretty much about $3,300 for the parks.
Okay, so are there any motions from this committee? Okay. I would, so without it being a motion, I'll definitely commit to making sure that I have this explained, and Mr. Bergman, I'll work with you for the board for the next meeting to make sure the board fully understands, and then all 6 members of the board can decide what to do from there. We didn't have this information, so that was, to me, why I wanted to bring it back to committee to get all the details of what it really was and where the impact was. So I've got the information that I wanted to get by it coming to committee. I don't know if there's anything else you guys want to discuss on this, or Mr. Bergman, if there's anything else you want to say, it's fine. I think it's probably best in the next board meeting, but I'm happy to hear any other information that you want to make sure the board has for the real Board of Alderman meeting. Not real, but you know what I mean.
Are you gonna forward on that email from today to the rest of the board so everybody has it and kind of understands?
Yes. And I'll work with you to make sure, and then once you say, yep, looks right to me, then I will send it.
I think the one that Kim corrected, because like I said, I was going off of before January 1st.
But I'm going to add the budget impact.
Yeah, so.
Not just what
Yeah.
individuals will, I'll add the entire
Yeah.
impact so that the board knows what the impact is.
Sounds fine to me. And then, is it gonna, you thinking you're gonna bring it back here, or, well, I guess it's up to the board?
No, I'd say go to the full board. I
But
mean,
there's
the
no
reason I wanted to move it is because we didn't have all the details,
Yeah.
which you didn't know we didn't have the details,
Yeah,
so.
But there's, I guess unfortunately, the way I look at it, there's no recommendation from this committee to take back to the board.
It has to go back to the board. We just.
Well, I know, but typically you guys vote on something to take
That
back
was
to the
decided-
board.
It was decided at the last board meeting, though, it would come here and then go back to the board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
But there's
so-
no recommendation.
We're not going to
To the-
recommend to pass it or not pass it at this point.
Right, I mean, I'm happy to, it goes against what you want, so
Right.
you don't want me recommending what I want to recommend. I'm not trying to be
No,
smart
I'm
about
just-
it, I mean.
No, I'm just saying, I mean,
It's,
yeah,
I think
with some changes. or
we're,
whatever, but yeah.
I mean, I'll move to push it, okay, I'll make a motion that we send this discussion back to the board now with the details that we have learned, and that I will add as well. I'll make that motion, so it goes back to the board and it's not back here in committee again.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
All right. Yeah, I just
Goes back to
appreciate
the
that, 'cause
board.
At least now we know what's.
You and I will
going on.
work on the details, and we'll go from there.
I can, oh,
That was right on
sorry.
Okay, that was a longer discussion, I thought. Moving on. Next thing are you ready, Alderman Kelly?
I'm ready.
Okay. Next item that I put on the agenda myself was discuss the recommendation from Clifton Larson Allen regarding the creation of a financial/accounting position. It's all about the money, I tell you. Here we go. I think one of the things that they definitely have seen in the audit review that we had.
Go ahead.
It's okay.
I'm listening.
if you need to, I'm serious.
Nope, 'cause
I'm happy to sit
I'm not
here.
in favor of your group anyway, so you just keep on talking. You know, I voted
Well,
against
that,
going
I
to.
know, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't listen.
I'm listening. Sorry, Rob, we can't talk anymore.
Okay, so anyway, I do believe that we should have an accounting/finance position where the city clerk isn't expected to do all the financial work. Nothing against Ms. Barfield at all, but I don't think she went to school for accounting. I'm not sure. And I think that's probably where some of our issues may come up, is that we need a person, and I think the city's grown enough financially and population-wise where it is time to have a financial position. I don't think we need, the highest level accounting person at all. And it would be to replace our existing contract position, and I'm not recommending that we do this today or tomorrow. I'm just saying, as a committee, I would like us to agree or disagree on that we should look at it in our next budget year, that we create.
We desperately need
position.
it,
I know,
like every
I
other
agree
city
too.
around us, which is even smaller populations.
And
So-
if Clifton, I'll get their name right, Clifton Larson Allen, if they were correct in what they were saying, our audit costs were almost double because we didn't have a financial person. And that could pay
For
a
itself.
lot of it. I don't think it'll pay for all of it, but I think it'll pay a lot of it.
Well, it depends on how many hours if we
That's
don't
true.
put them
That's true.
full-time, if we put somebody below 30 hours, and then we can also still do it as a 1099 rather than an employee, that would help financially as well within our budget. So,
We just have to figure out what the pros and cons of a 1099 versus
mhm,
an employee being.
these are things I gotta deal with every day,
Well, good.
so on
So I'll look to your
financial stuff-
expertise.
That's what I'm saying, that's what I'm recommending now. for us to-
1099, so subcontract more or less.
Yeah, but we can ask Ms. Barfield to do it, or I can do it, it doesn't matter. Ask them if that was a legitimate thing they said, where our audit cost so much because we didn't have a financial person, and they were gonna have to do a lot more work because we didn't have a financial person. If that's the case, hold that thought. If that's the case, then it will pay for
It's
the
just so hard.
vast majority of a financial person if that
Certainly.
audit price comes down. Can you find out that information? Okay.
It definitely needs to be explored. I think we definitely should move that one forward
He's not there
to
yet.
explore the strong possibility.
Okay, so then, would you like to make a motion, or would you like me to do it?
Motion, go ahead, second, and let's pass it, go forward.
Well, it's obviously gonna be me and you. So I'll make the motion that we recommend to the board that we seriously look at adding a financial position in this year's, or in the fiscal year 2026 budget. And so you made that motion, believe it or not, even though I said it. And then I'll second that. And did you hear the motion, Alderman Kelly?
I did.
Okay,
I heard it.
I know.
Understood it.
I
I
know.
ignored it.
okay.
And you know
All
my
in
vote.
favor? Oh, actually, any discussion on the motion in the second? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No,
All opposed? Yep. And any abstentions? 2-1, motion carries. It will go as a recommendation to the board. Okay. Going to the next item, kind of falling into it, fiscal year 2026 budget discussion. There wasn't really a specific, I didn't want to get into the details of the budget or anything like that. I just wanted us to be aware that it is getting very close to really getting into the budget again, and wanted to see if anyone on this committee had anything that we needed to recommend, or if there were items that we knew needed to be addressed that weren't addressed last year, or anything like that. So I just wanted to open up the floor to see if there was anything that we needed to recommend that the full board take action on. Go ahead, Alderman Kelly, you're smiling. Tell us what it is.
I don't know if it has to do with the future budget or the budget we're currently working on. So which way do you want it said? Of two
Well,
things.
I would say
The report
this
that,
was for fiscal 2026 is what my
Yeah.
line item was, but
okay, 2026, I would hope that we would get a beginning balance sheet like we just received from the new firm that's doing the.
Okay?
Definitely need those every month. That really seemed to help this last time trying to put the numbers together. Question that ran across one day was, when you set your budget, are you using beginning balances and proposals or just proposals? So make sure we answer that question correctly this year, starting off in 26 budget. Just a thought.
So, and so I'm going to kind of bow down to Alderman Mandrill on this, but your budget, your revenues matter to your budget, but it's your revenues versus your expenses. Money in the bank, while it's important for cash flow, doesn't impact your budget unless you want to say something different to that. And the reason I say that is if you say I'm going to bring in $100 and I'm going to spend $100, it doesn't matter how much money you have in the bank. If you say I'm going to bring in $100 but I'm going to spend 110, now it matters what you have in the bank, but we can't pass a deficit budget anyway. So we can't do that. My opinion, not a financial guy.
And my question is, when you set your budget, are you using the revenues in the bank as part of your proposals or just what you expect to bring in?
What you expect to bring in.
Thank you.
And there was a conversation about budget amendments and things like that, and I want to bring that up for discussion as well. So once you set a budget, that is what you expect to spend for that year. The only time that you would, in my opinion, amend a budget is when you found a mistake. That is your budget. You will miss the budget one way or the other. You'll either miss it high or miss it low, but you shouldn't amend a budget, in my opinion. If you see, we said we were going to spend $100 here, but we're going to spend 110. Well, you just missed the budget by $10. You still only budgeted $100. So my opinion is we shouldn't be doing tons of amendments through the year. Only mistakes should be corrected in a budget. And if a mistake causes your budget to be way off, well then yes, obviously that mistake can make you do something, but you should do it during that mistake correction. Now, I don't know what your opinion is.
Yeah, you're right, but if you're asking what my recommendation is, I'd like to have our economic development director come and speak during budget time to give us the prognostication realistically, what we have.
Put your mic down so people can hear you too.
Yeah, nobody's listening.
Sorry.
So again, bring the economic development director to give us an actual numbers of what we have, what we expect to be getting as far as new business, and what our growth is, so that I don't share your view that we're growing as nearly as fast as we need to, which does impact our budget. And then for the items that we would love to get, and so that we can also take an aggressive look at how we can grow economically in this city, so that we can go ahead and get everything taken care of. So that's my recommendation.
Okay. All right.
That's good.
Because I view what other cities pay staff, we're basically the lowest paying city. You would concur with that, compared to like Washington, Union,
Well,
Sullivan.
We can't compare to Washington.
Yeah, we're
St. Clair
smaller
Union-
than-
St. Clair Union, we can compare, just,
That's what I
we
just
can,
said.
we already
Right.
compared.
And Sullivan, yes. Just like, for somehow or another, I don't know how it happened, we have the highest property tax school district in the entire county. So, but anyway, like I said, we need to focus on growth so that we can grow our revenues properly.
Yeah, and just what I was saying is that we have grown for financial, not that we're growing like gangbusters. So I didn't mean to imply that we're growing like crazy. I'm just saying we have grown over the years, big enough to where I
But I
think we
want
need
to
a
see
financial person.
realistic numbers too.
Mhm.
That's fine.
I agree.
So that's,
Realistic
Recommendation
numbers
for
being the key.
2026. Thank you.
2026 budget.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else on fiscal year 2026 budget that we need to make sure we do? Okay. So good old business. Hiring a recruiter to assist with filling this, filling the city administrator, not filing, filling the city administrator position. We finally passed it as a board, so we did pass it. I know the mayor signed a resolution. We have sent the agreement to Attorney Jones for one final time, but just to make sure there was nothing that changed in it that we should be concerned about, which, as far as I know, nothing changed in it, but I don't want to send anything without Attorney Jones reviewing it. So I would expect that this week he would probably review it if he's not on vacation, which I don't think he is. So we should have it sent off. So I spoke with SGR about it, and they said basically they've already, based on the fact that we passed it and they're just waiting on the signed agreement, they've assigned a recruiter to us that will work with us. We will set up a meeting where they will walk through the process with us and how they do it. I mean, we've got it in a proposal, and I think I understand how they do everything, but they will go through with us our job description, our posting, salary, all that kind of stuff that we've already said what we want to do. They will basically evaluate that with us and say, okay, from our experience, here's what you're going to get if you do this, here's what you're going to get if you change, and that kind of stuff. One of the things I want to make sure the two of you specifically know, because we are the hiring committee, is that we're probably going to have, at first, for sure, several meetings pretty quickly. When I say pretty quickly, we'll have notice for public and all that, but I think we're going to have to take the ball and run with it here with the recruiting firm. And I think the quicker we can meet and do that and get the ball rolling, then they can do what they do, and we'll start getting candidates in.
They have people in their queue already, so
They do.
that's why it'll be very quick, and they'll know what parameters we're seeking. They know the appetite of the applicants already. I go through this all the time, so.
Okay. So any questions, concerns, comments, anything at all on
When
that?
they go through it with us, is it gonna be through a Zoom meeting?
Well, there's actually 2 times when they come on site. I don't know if this is the first. Until we get it signed, I won't be able to talk, but they do come on site, and that's built into it. So it's not going to cost additional for them to come on site. But they do come on site.
Okay.
So the very first one, I would expect it's going to be Zoom. And we'll lay the groundwork, and then I'm sure they're going to want to come and see the city and that kind of stuff to understand what they're helping us sell.
Exactly, okay.
Alderman Kelly, you have anything?
My opinion, they already have everything. We're already submitted our application out for what we were looking for. I'm not sure why they want to meet. I would think it would be ready to go, but
So-
whatever they want to do to
Go
get
over
comfortable.
pluses and minuses.
Right, what they'll do is they'll look at it as an applicant in a sense and say, here's what you're saying, but here's what I'm hearing. And it's more of, hey, if maybe there's benefits that we have that we don't have listed in the job description or in the ad or whatever, and they're like, hey, we know people are looking for X, Y, and Z. If you put that you're doing these things, like our residency requirement, we did a 30-mile radius. Maybe we don't have, honestly, off the top of my head, I can't remember whether it's in there or not. We may not have in there that, hey, you can live within a 30-mile radius of the city. That could be a big plus for someone.
If they have kids, the excellent school
Right.
district,
Just-
parks.
Right, they're
There's
just going
all-
to look at it.
The nature. So there's a whole other bunch of selling points that
Okay.
is not described in it, that somebody has to come in, so that when they're talking to somebody from, say, Wyoming, who's never set foot in Missouri, it has to be explained to them, just like when they talk to me about it, moving out here.
Another thing I've seen with other placements they've been doing is they create a good marketing brochure of the city
Very good.
and can hand that to the applicants and say, here, this is what Pacific is. And we've got that information. We just don't have it together to give to a city administrator candidate, which we probably should have done. you know, hindsight's a wonderful thing.
And if you have to set a special meeting, that's just let me know.
Yeah, I
Keep
will.
it moving.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody have anything else on that?
Nope.
So I don't have anything under miscellaneous, but Alderman Kelly, was there anything you wanted to talk about on the current budget? You were asking if we were talking about the current or the next. I don't want to.
The current budget, I guess we're going to wait for the auditors for a final report because we did get a review and I was concerned if those corrections had been made or need to be made.
You talking about the 2.3 or?
No, that
nothing-
one.
Nothing's been made yet. I can't do nothing until they actually issue.
Thank you. And then we would do amendment. And then,
I don't know if it's gonna be an amendment or if they, because see, every year
They
they
can do
give
it
me auditor
in-house.
journal entries. Then I book those and then book those to last year and.
so they would go out of 24's budget, not our current. Thank you. That helps. And then the mention tonight of a change being made, do we need a amendment on that salary scale? Or it just goes in effect automatically on the one employee?
My opinion is no.
Okay.
We don't need a budget
Okay.
amendment for that. We
Okay.
just, well, actually,
Just so we
we
don't do
didn't
something
put in our
wrong.
budget that employees were leaving, retiring either, I don't think. I
Right,
think we
right. That's
counted
what
them
I'm
through
just
the all.
asking.
So, yeah, we're actually probably going to come in under budget on salaries.
And I think that's where it helps when the board does approve, then when the auditor pulls that and see the changes in this, we have document to show we knew and were aware of the budget being affected and changed differently, in my opinion. So that's where those things I think help. Anything you can document, I think helps our audit.
And yeah, and I think, to me, that's why our current financial person and/or whatever we do, to me, that's the kind of thing that at least monthly, we should be given a report that explains where we're hitting and where we're missing. And then we know, and we don't have to guess when we come up with something. Oh,
Right.
are we going to have the money for this? Like, well, we're doing better than we thought, or we're doing worse than we thought. So, anything else on that? All right, I will look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
I knew it. I'll second it. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any
Thank you,
opposed?
Robert.
So
Thank you for your time. Meeting adjourned.
that's the one